Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Monday, December 1st. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, and Perlo in a few moments as well, ready to break down this Monday NHL card. Looking forward to that. We'll recap Sunday first. It was I didn't love the card at all going into it, and the results showed why. Not great, but we kept everything pretty small as far as the Sunday bets are concerned. We started the day with the Washington Capitals, obviously continuing their nice little run that they put together of late. A solid victory, 4-1 over the New York Islanders. Tom Wilson with 2 goals, Ovechkin with 2 goals, including, he just got the 1 goal, which was an empty netter, but very solid win there for the Washington Capitals. Protas adding a goal, solid net minding from Logan Thompson, 30 saves on 31 shots in that game. So nice win for Washington to keep their hot streak going. Big win for the Chicago Blackhawks. I know it made Alex very happy yesterday. And what was impressive is look, when you're struggling and you can't find your game and things just aren't going well, it's so easy when you're down 3-0 in the blink of an eye in the first period to just say, hey, not our day. Here we go again, boys. Not going to be our day. And you just the confidence wanes and you make even more mistakes and you compound the bad start and make it worse. But no. Jeff Blashill said we had to face the adversity. We got to dig in as a team to get out of it. And boy, did they dig in. And that is a very positive sign for this young Blackhawks team to be down 3-0. I think the key was getting that power play goal from Tyler Bertuzzi late in the first period to cut that deficit to 3-1. Then they go into the intermission with a little momentum, a little bit of hope that they can come back. And then, of course, in the second period, it's funny because Rick Ball and Darren Pang on the Chicago broadcast, they were cracking all these jokes about how they flipped the script here and reversed their recent performance pattern, which has been good first periods, horrible second periods. Yesterday, it was a horrible first period, great second period, and they were saying something like, hey, did they take a different brand of coffee this morning or something? Or what? But it was just something happened because you're right. It was a different Chicago team in the second period. They turned that game around. They got the Ryan Green goal, the tying goal from Colton Dock on the power play to make it 3-3. And then it was just Connor Bedard. You don't give the puck away in your own zone like that if you're Anaheim. And most of all, you don't let Connor Bedard be on the receiving end of a giveaway like that. And he made no mistake about it, just very patient, outweighting the goaltender, Ville Husso, and putting it into the back of the net there to give Chicago the lead. And then they would hold on with that lead and add an empty net goal to put it away. Bedard into the empty net. And what I love about Bedard, when he hits that empty net, it's right in the middle of the net. Makes no mistake about it. 5-3, just a massive win for Chicago to, stop the bleeding, stop the losing streak, and the fashion they won that game. When it was so easy to just say, here we go again, another loss, chalk it up, 3-0. It was 2-0 for crying out loud in like the first minute or so of the game. And you thought, oh my gosh, here we go again. But to come back and show some guts, show some fortitude, a real great sign here for Chicago coming back to win that game. Well, I apologize, guys. That's as bad a best bet as you'll ever see on this show. An over 6 that ends 1-0. But that's the case with Calgary and Carolina. It was a snooze fest. This was a horrible game. It was not much going on. Very low event. The shots were 15-15 apiece going into the overtime. That tells you how low event it was with the Flames and the Hurricanes yesterday. But Carolina does get the overtime winner. Nikolai Ehlers in overtime for the 1-0 victory. Cooley and Bussy, they were good. They were solid, but it's not like they faced a ton of rubber in that game, so it's hard to evaluate them. But a 1-0 win there for the Carolina Hurricanes in a pretty low event game, as I said, in Carolina. I'll be kind using that phrase to describe it. The Dallas Stars, 6-1 against the Ottawa Senators. Very, very impressive victory. And what's been impressive is they've had no Thomas Harley on the blue line. Matt Duchene remains out. They've had guys in and out with injuries all year. They keep winning games. You give them credit. They had a great road trip. They come back home. They have the slow start against Utah, but they come back and win. They obviously, after 1-1 when Sanderson tied it, it was all Dallas from that point on. Wyatt Johnston with the hat trick. last night. Another goal for Jamie Benn. They honored him before the game for his 400th goal. It was just, you got to give the Stars team credit, and you got to give Glenn Gulletson credit, because this is a guy that we were a little surprised that's the direction Dallas went as their head coach. But at the end of the day, it was Jim Nill making this decision to hire Glenn Gulletson, and Jim Nill we trust. That's how much I think of Jim Nill. He's done a phenomenal job here in Dallas. That if he thinks Glenn Gulletson's the right hire, I'm gonna believe in it until I see otherwise. And like I said, you got to give Glenn some credit too, because there's been a lot of in and outs. He hasn't been able to ice a consistent lineup with 6D and 12 forwards on a nightly basis, and Ottawa just keeps on, or Dallas rather, just keeps on keeping on. So very nice win for Dallas, and they beat Ottawa handily 6-1 last night. And Casey DeSmith, another pretty solid performance from him in a starting role as the backup for the Dallas Stars last night. Alex, your thoughts on what we saw for Sunday?
Yeah, like I said, short card, but it was an interesting card. Quickly with that Dallas game, that's a good win for Dallas, because that's a spot where we've seen in previous years healthier Dallas teams, better Dallas teams, arguably, maybe you could argue, play down in that spot and lose, or like I said, go into a shootout and have to battle for a win. To get an easy, nice, comfortable 6-1 home win, that's big for them, and they can start building on that momentum. Remember how I was getting snake bit with every team total bet with the Stars, and it seemed like they land right on 3 or they wouldn't do anything. Now they're getting that offense rolling. They're looking like the team that we were expecting to see for the majority of the season. And then the Hawks game, a really bad start. Like you said, 1 minute in and you're down 2-0. And that's the one bugaboo that I have noticed with Spencer Knight in his tenure so far as a Hawk. He is susceptible to giving up an early soft goal. And we've talked about this with a lot of guys, Jakob Dobish, go back to Jacob Markstrom in his Calgary days. There's some goalies who just happen to give up that second shot of the game. If it's a little tricky shot or if it's something from the point, they will sometimes give that up. So that's something to make a little note of. Hopefully he can correct that in due time, but that's something I've seen from him and now it's been more than just a couple of starts with the Hawks. But like you said, for them to dig in, clearly things were said after that first intermission. And I'm sure even if they had been a scoreless first, they still would have probably had some things to say because of how bad the second periods have been with this team, especially in this homestand. So for them to come out and have a good second on top of what was a terrible first, that is massive for them. But it's still a concern overall in the long run of this team not being able to put together a full 60-minute effort. And that's the problem, especially when you're looking to back them and bet them in certain ways moving forward. It is a team that's really hard to roll with, because if they're not getting offense in the first, 10 chances are nothing's happening in the first. This is a team that still leads the league with 9 shutouts against in the first period. I got that from the Chris Otto's chart updates. Shout out to him. So this is a team that if they aren't getting the offense necessarily in the first, and then they're playing well defensively, but if you aren't getting the offense in the second period, well, now you're putting yourself, behind the 8 ball with only 20 minutes left in the game. So those are things that have to be corrected. But like I said, great resiliency. Connor Bedard still continuing to be hot, still looking like the superstar that everybody was hoping he'd become right now. And I love seeing him jawing at the Anaheim bench after that empty net goal as well. Yep. It was a physical game. Keep in mind these two teams played a couple weeks ago. They're going to play each other again in Anaheim in a few weeks. So this is a budding and building rivalry. I like how Darren Pang was asking about Bedard after the game. What do you think about this rivalry that's possibly growing here? These are two young teams right in the same line. Obviously, you've got the Quenneville factor in there as well. I would love, if obviously probably won't be this year, but at some point in the next couple of years, to see these two teams play in a playoff series. I think that would be absolute cinema. Like I think that would be a lot of fun. So like I said, it's nice to see these bright budding stars actually coming through, and even like I said with Anaheim, played well early. Getting that, their offense rocking and rolling. The one issue with the Ducks is that you see Peter Mrazek get hurt, which that's not shocking, right? Peter Mrazek getting hurt, that's like death for taxes. But with him being hurt, and now you're down to Ville Husso, your third string goalie, being your starter because Dostal's out for the next 2-3 weeks, things could get a little dicey for Anaheim moving forward.
Yeah, they're gonna have to tread water, and they're gonna have to survival mode here for a little bit. Because you're right, their top 2 goalies are out. So it's Ville Husso that's going to get the lion's share of the starts, because they're not going to have Dostal back for another couple of weeks. This is going to be a 2-week absence for him. And now with Mrazek, they're hoping it's just day to day, but there's no telling with his injuries. Day to day becomes week to week and month to month with Peter Mrazek quite often. So, you're worried about now that his injury becomes something that keeps him out for a decent period of time. And they've had to call up Vyacheslav Buteyets for the Anaheim Ducks from the minor leagues. So they're going really deep into their depth chart.
I got nothing on
San
him.
Diego.
He's not even on the full depth chart for my charts. I have to watch some video and kind of maybe get some followers out and see what the notes are on him. But I have no scouting notes on him whatsoever. So like I said, gotta tread lightly with Anaheim moving forward, where we've been hitting them heavy early in the season. Yeah,
so that's the concern. And his numbers for Vyacheslav there and with San Diego, the goals, 3.72 goals against, 878 save percentage. That's not great. And now this guy has now backing up Ville Husso in Anaheim. So, like I said, there's some.
Thank God you got Ville Husso, right? At least Husso's an NHL veteran who can keep you afloat for a little bit. So.
Yeah. Very interesting spot for him tonight because he had to come in unexpectedly with Mrazek getting hurt yesterday. They had planned him to start probably this game against his old team, St. Louis, all along tonight. But like I said, it'll be interesting to see how that goes tonight for Ville Husso there in that game. And by the way, the Bedard McTavish stuff at the end was great. You know what's funny about Bedard and McTavish getting after each other at the end of that game is they're great friends. And they were Canadian teammates on the World Juniors a couple of years ago. But you throw that shit out the window when you're playing a game against one another. That's we're not friends at that moment. And we saw that at the end of that game. Perlo with us now. Perlo, thoughts on what we saw Sunday?
Some of it went exactly the way I thought and others didn't. The Capitals I really liked yesterday. I had Islanders team total under 2. I had Thompson over saves, and I had Capitals money line for quite a bit. I still think the Islanders, every time I think of that road trip, I still think the Islanders are going to take a while to recover from that. I don't care who you are. Like, that was an amazing road trip. It's something you usually don't like to do this early in the season. Like, they beat the crap out of themselves in that. And I think you see it with this, the injuries are starting to pile up with Palmieri and stuff like that. I figured that was going to happen. And there's not as much sting on their shots. They're getting lots of shots, but there's not much sting on it. So, like, the aches and the body trauma that came from that road trip, I thought was just going to keep on hurting them. And I love the Capitals there. So the Capitals also, they're going out to the sunny south, and I'm pretty sure they want to go with a happy feeling in their mind. Now, that being said, it looks like they got outplayed in the sense that the shots were not that difficult. I love the Capitals in there. I'll be interested. I might be against them in their first game out west, but the Blackhawks and Ducks. Okay, I was on the Ducks here. My theory was that Anaheim has had some very school-like coaches for a while. Like what was that college coach? It was basically a college coach.
Cronin.
Yeah, Cronin. And before that, I terrible with names, was the ex-coach of the Edmonton Oilers, and he was very school.
Dallas Aikens.
Dallas Aikens, right. And now they get a Quindle coach that has charisma and character, and he knows how to build you up and all of those sort of things like that. Going into Chicago, I really thought the Ducks would play well for them, and I think they did, but they blew their wad in the first period. I think they just went a little crazy. And give it to the Hawks, man. They the one thing you can say, one thing I really am impressed with the Hawks here is they don't give up. They play where, regardless of the score, they play all the way through, and they deserve the win. I really wasn't happy with how it worked out because I had Knight over saves and I had it for a pretty big chunk, so that kind of took some of my Capitals money away. But and I had a little bit on the over, but it was a really interesting game. That's going to be fun games to watch moving forward. Just like you guys said, like, this is turning out to be somewhat of a rivalry now. And it's fun to see. It's fun to see these new rivalries popping up. The Hurricanes Flames, I got some money. I took the Flames team total under 2 and 2.5, which was great. but I also took the Hurricanes on a lot of craps, which wasn't great. But I did make it back a little bit because this looked like a handshake draw to me. After the first period, I'm like, these guys aren't trying to win anything here. My gosh.
I probably should have done that too. It felt like a draw very early in that Carolina game. It really did.
It seriously felt like a handshake draw. Like they're not. It's like they both talked to each other and said, "Look, we got Anderson in here is still kind of beat up. You guys are on a long road trip. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I don't know if that actually happens, but that's what it felt like to me. So I did make some money back on the draw, but I also had Jarvis over shots. Geez, Calgary hadn't got that many shots by just halfway through the second. It was a terrible game to watch, like you said. But the Stars, I loved the Stars there. It was just a terrible Senator spot. They've been playing some.
They get Brady Tkachuk back, by the way. They're 0-2 now with him back.
Yeah, it's just he came back right when they were after playing some really tough hockey.
Right.
And, they had Montreal coming up too, so that's in the back of their minds. And it's a spot where it's just psychologically very difficult to keep on going. And I love the Stars. I had team total over. I had everything on the Stars, so that I ended up doing pretty well, all told. In the games, some props kind of. One of the big ones I had was, and we'll talk about it later. Actually, I'll talk about it later. There was one I had in the Ducks, and we'll talk about it later. We'll move on.
Because they're in action again, the Anaheim. So we will.
One quick thing,
more Anaheim Ducks in just a bit. Yeah, go ahead.
One quick thing I'll say, and it'll lead right into tonight, and what Perlo was saying about reference with the Isles. And I've heard this from two different broadcasts over the weekend. The Wild broadcast, I'm trying to remember what the other game was, but they were saying that a lot of the trainers in the league are saying they're seeing way more injuries, whether it be severe injuries, nagging injuries. We've got freak injuries we'll talk about later. But we've been seeing more injuries, and a lot of these trainers are really believing that it is because of the condensed schedule. So, to what you were saying about with that Carolina-Calgary game, I'm sure it wasn't an actual conversation, but you may have spots like that where teams are just like, listen, we're both dog dead tired. And it's just kind of just everybody kind of feels it on the ice, and you see in some of these slow games. That's why we've seen about, 1-0 games, I think, in the last 3 weeks. So, that's something to keep in note.
Yeah,
no doubt. That's not surprising.
That's what I sort of meant. It's like they didn't actually say that, but
I get you. Right, the body, and that's the thing, and that's something we could see increase a little bit more, especially with more condensed schedules, holidays. You're gonna have breaks and gaps in between, so something to make a note of.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, when your body doesn't have the normal recovery time and rehab time in between games like it's accustomed to, you're going to have more fucking injuries. It's just the way it is. It's not shocking at all. It makes 1,000% perfect sense to me that there'd be an increase in injuries across the league with teams playing more games in a condensed period of time this year than in past seasons. So there's no question. I mean, the body is you're a human being. You're not a machine.
It's still human.
If the body doesn't have time in between games to rest and recover as you normally would have, the regular time, you're going to suffer for it physically. It's just the way it is.
But let's throw a tournament right in the middle of the season, right?
Yeah.
Well,
and an intense one where teams are going to want to give 100% physically. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So like I said, these players, man, normally I say the off season's too long. The off season, you're going to earn your off season this year. My goodness, with what they're going through this year with this schedule and the Olympics, especially the players that are going to be participating in that as well. All right, let's get into Monday night's card. We'll begin Keystone State battle, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, Battle of Pennsylvania. Philly -140 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Two teams kind of going in opposites right now. You got Pittsburgh losing 3 of their last 5 games. Philadelphia playing some really good hockey, 5-1 for Rick Tockett's crew in the last 6 games, coming off a 3-1 road trip, beating Florida Islanders Devils back to wind down that road trip. Pretty impressive from this Flyers team after getting shut out by Tampa 3-0 in the first game of that road trip. Back home now after winning those 3 games. Not the greatest spot for Philly. I'm always a little leery of teams in this situation. Successful road trip back home, a little bit leery of that. Meanwhile, you got Pittsburgh, and right now Philadelphia for the full game. I don't want to fade them. They've been great at home, 8-3-2. But you got the Penguins team that got bombed 7-2 at home by the Toronto Maple Leafs Saturday. Dan Muse was a little critical of his team following that game, and that's now a couple times in the last few games. He's kind of started to get after his team a little bit for lackluster performance. He did it after the Seattle game last weekend as well. So I think Pittsburgh comes out storming early, and Philly in that opening 20 minutes, that opening salvo after winning 3 in a row to end that trip could be a little bit vulnerable. And I went back and looked at the previous meeting these teams had earlier this season. Philly won 3-2 at home. Pittsburgh scored the first goal in that game, though, against Philadelphia, which leads me to another Alex B special for me in this game. Give me Pittsburgh first goal of first period, a plus 145. I like that. Price is good once again. I think the handicapping thought makes sense. Philly a little sluggish first period after 3 road wins to end the trip. Pittsburgh's coming out storming after a blowout loss, kind of embarrassing the way they played Saturday night against Toronto, although goaltending really did let them down in that game. That was not a good performance from a guy we like, Artur Shilovs, but that was not one of his better efforts. Tristan Jarry will get the start, and to be honest with you, Tristan Jarry's playing a little bit better right now than Artur Shilovs, and he's been solid for the most part since he's been back and getting starts here for the Penguins. So I don't know if I trust Pittsburgh for the full 60 minutes, because with Philadelphia, we saw it in the first meeting with these two teams. They gave up the first goal. They still came back and won the game. But I like Pittsburgh early. First period money line, but especially first period first goal. Pittsburgh Penguins plus 145. I like that. It's a great spot for it. We've been really good at pinpointing these of late. We did it with Edmonton Saturday in the very similar spot against Seattle. We'll see if we St. Louis in a very similar spot against the New York Islanders when the Islanders were coming off a good road trip. So I like this here. Pens first goal, first period at a plus price. Alex would and the draw. I think the draw is worth a look because the last game went to overtime between these teams. Alex, what do you think here? Pens, Flyers.
Yeah. Small piece of draw for me is not my favorite, but what I do like is goals early. I like first period over 1.5 and get that minus 124 at FanDuel. I like both teams to score at plus 172, but I probably will tail you on that Pittsburgh first goal, first period look as well at plus 145. So everything early looks and goal related in this contest, but I do have a small piece of draw. It's not one of my favorite draws. There's like 2 that I have on the books tonight.
Now, the Flyers have scored first and back-to-back, so 2 in a row. But prior to that, they had given up the first goal in 9 straight. So it was 9 straight they had given up the first goal, and then the last 2, they've scored the first goal. But still, overall, they've given up the first goal 9 of their last 11 games, Philadelphia. So that does still long-term fit well with what I'm looking at here in this one. Perlo, what do you think? Pittsburgh, Philly?
This is a tough side. Philly's playing have been playing really well, but they've been playing, again, really tough games too. How many times can you get up for a game, up for a game, up for a game? They've been playing some really high energy, gotta really get up for it type games here. And now they're coming into Pittsburgh where you really got to get up for it. In Pittsburgh, I think the coach saying what he said is about the team needs to blah, blah, blah. I think he was more protecting his goaltender there. Shilovs is really having a rough time. He doesn't really want to come out and say we had a bad goaltending night for a kid that is really struggling right now. He was in for the last one where a lot of goals were in there. I think that had more to do with that. And now you're going to have a more experienced Jarry in here. I'm with Alex in the over in the both teams to score first period. Penguins are definitely going to be coming out hard. Philly will be up for this game, no doubt about it. I'm just concerned about being able to get up this much. It's now you're at home. You, like you said, you got a kind of a letdown spot where you broke up. Everybody broke up, went to their wives and kids and everything, came back. Now you're going to recreate this energy for the Pittsburgh game. It's an amazing coach, and they could do that. I'm leaning Pittsburgh here. What I do like, though, is Philadelphia really struggles in second periods. And I could see Philadelphia waking up in third and in the third, and we get a draw here. So I do have a little bit on the draw. But I like Pittsburgh's second period money line at plus 110. And then Philly comes back after that. I think if it's tied 1-1, I'm almost leaning to that too. the exact score 1-1 to me seems pretty likely. It's going to be a tight first. I don't think anybody's going to have too much of an advantage here. They're going to be fighting hard, and I think after that first period, that fight, I think Penguins are going to have a little more legs here in the second, and they are a strong second period team. So I'm going to take the Penguins second period money line, and then maybe Philly comes back. Like, I agree with you with the full game. Philly they might have a letdown here, but if you watch them, they're like Chicago. They don't give up this team at all. They're playing really well for each other. They run 4 lines. Any one of those lines can hurt you. And if I could see them waking up in the third and coming back pretty hard here. So I'm going to stick with that and the draw, and I'm going to lay off the full game for now. So those are my plays before. Oh, I got to take Hayes up there on the top line, right?
I do. I'm going to take the goal prop again too. He had 4 shots on goal against Toronto.
Yeah,
you just hope one of these are going to go in at some point for him. But if
unfortunately, they don't give you shot props for him. I don't think. But what do I got? Malkin over 1.5 shots and York over 1.5 over 1.5 block shots. He's been going 3, 4 and everything. I parlayed them together. It feels like a Crosby goal day, a plus 180. I mean, he's playing Philly. He's going to get a goal. And that's Forster anytime goal.
In his career lifetime, he scored in 55% of games he's played against Philadelphia.
There you go.
That tells you
plus 180. You can't go wrong there. Yeah. And Zegras is just playing too well. I got him for a goal as well.
It's still not a bad price. Like, you can still get up to plus 185, plus 190 on Sid to
great
score.
Price.
Still a pretty good price for a guy.
One of the best players to ever play in the world at a plus 180. I'll take that.
Not bad for a guy that's on pace for 50 goals right now. Exactly. That's the current pace for Sidney Crosby right now. And again, you expect him to lead by example after a 7-2 loss. You expect him to have a strong game here tonight in this spot. Dan Vladar in net. He's been great for Philly, but again, I think he's going to be subjected to more shots and tougher danger chances early, because I think Philly could be a little sluggish out of the gate coming off the road trip. So
that's what I'm 100 for Vladar over 22.5 saves today. That is really good. Really good. So I like that too.
Yeah, it could be a shot volume night that he'll face for sure. All right, Columbus, New Jersey. We've got New Jersey minus 140, home favorite, 6 the total here in this game. Devils, of course, coming off a 5-3 loss to the aforementioned Philadelphia Flyers. Only their first regulation loss, believe it or not, on home ice this season for New Jersey. That 5-3 loss to Philadelphia the other night. So I was very impressed with Philly there in that game. And now New Jersey looking to bounce back. Obviously, New Jersey's been I don't think New Jersey's lost 2 straight at home all season. That was only their first regulation loss at home. Columbus comes in here, and it looks like for Columbus we will see Elvis Merzlikins in net. There's been a widening gap of late between him and Jet Greaves as far as the 2 goaltenders for these respective teams. Jake Allen is going to get the start, and just like, it's a widening gap with Greaves and Merzlikins in favor of Greaves, it's starting to become a widening gap with Allen over Markstrom, too, because Allen coming off a terrific shutout performance. That was against Buffalo, but still 5-0 shutout the last time we saw Jake Allen in net. So, like I said, interesting to see if he can follow that up with a pretty good performance. This is one where, New Jersey winning would not surprise. I don't really want to lay minus 140, though, with the Devils. If they fall behind plus price, sign me up. But not at pregame at minus 140. If they fall behind, I'll take them live in game. I don't want to do that with a team that's still without, Jack Hughes and their best defenseman, Brett Pesce, best shutdown defenseman. I don't want to lay minus 140 pregame. So it's Devil's spot. I like it, but like it in game if I can get a plus money. No bet for me on the Devils pregame. I do like this draw. Now, Alex, I know, is going to mention a little performance pattern, which leads him to hesitate about this draw, and I get it. Because Columbus has been in one of these 2 straight draws, no draw, 2 straight draws, no draw kind of pattern of late. And that pattern, if it continues, because they've had 2 straight games go past regulation, is this a game that doesn't? but New Jersey's been a strong draw team. Columbus has still overall been a very strong draw team. A lot of one-goal games between these two teams, so I still am going to take a shot with the draw despite those concerns that Alex will express right now. Columbus, New Jersey.
Well, yeah, and it's more so of a concern, but it's also just to look out for this pattern, because if this game doesn't go to overtime, I will be on the draw in the next two games for Columbus. They play against Detroit at home. Last time they played them, that game went past regulation, and then they go on the road against Florida. Last time those two teams played, it was a 1-0 game in overtime. So if that pattern continues, it's more of a not so much be cautious of this draw. It's more of it would be in line to back the next two games for Columbus to go past regulation. So that's kind of the note that I made with that as well. But in saying that, I like New Jersey in this spot. I think this is a good spot to back Allen, but I'm tagging it in with the over 3.5 for the full game. You can get that minus $1.24. So like I said, 140, 145 is a little high. You can knock it down to 124, and you just need 4 goals combined in the game to get that through. So that's the way I'm going to play this.
Yeah, that's a good way to approach it, especially if you want to get a better price. And again, it doesn't take much these days, most NHL games, to get over 3.5. So that's not bad to go with that route with Devils and over 3.5 here in this one. Perlo, what do you think here? Jackets, Devils.
It is Allen, and who's for? Is it Merzlikins?
Elvis. Yeah.
Elvis. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't back Columbus with. I was trying to find a way to do it, but with Merzlikins in there, I just can't do it. I do like the over 1.5 first period here, though, and it's odd that way.
We have to bet that with Jonathan saying Timo Meier first goal. That's pretty damn strong. 6 of his 9 goals have been both Devils' first goal of the game and the overall first goal of the game, and he scored the first goal of the game versus Columbus too.
Yeah, I'll bet that.
Yeah, take him over shots here. He's the only guy shooting on that team, and he's flying over. So it's just plus 125 for over 3.5 shots. I don't know what the hell that's all about. But yeah, I'm going to take the Devils there. I'm especially going to take the Devils again. They're a strong second period team. So I got a little bit on minus 0.5 second period at plus 140. But I do like the over here in the first period. I think Columbus knows that if they're going to win this game, they got to play for an over. So they're going to come out hard early, and I think New Jersey will overmatch them. I had the, you know what? I'm going to take it. I have the Perlo special written down here, and I think this feels like a Columbus Blue Jackets score in the first period. New Jersey score in the second to me. So you can get that at plus 130. I got a little bit on that. And I like Devils -1. Devils -1. So I'll take Devils -1. Although I kind of like yours better. I might switch that to Alex's. Devils ML and over 3.5 that's a really good bet. So I'm going to tail Alex on that one. I have a little bit here on the Blue Jackets team total under 3 at minus 145 or 2.5. I think the Blue Jackets will struggle, but I do think they'll score in the first period. So I'm like, better not.
Yeah, it's been tough sledding for Columbus. 4 straight losses for them entering tonight. Detroit, Washington, Toronto, Pittsburgh. I mean, what sucks about this losing streak is other than the Washington game, which got away from them, they've been right there in every game. Overtime losses to Detroit, Toronto, and Pittsburgh. So it's not like they're playing horrible hockey, Columbus. They're just they're not getting the right bounce. They're not scoring at the right time. They're giving up a goal at the wrong time. That's basically been the difference here right now for Columbus. But like I said, they've been snake bit a little bit. We'll see if they can bounce. Won't be easy because New Jersey's been awesome at home. But like I said, they've certainly played better than the 4-game losing streak would indicate. All right, Winnipeg and Buffalo. Next up here, we've got Buffalo minus 115 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. Come on, this Buffalo off a monster upset win. We know what to do here. Winnipeg minus 105. Sign me up. 100%. Not even an issue. Thinking twice about this. Yes, Buffalo did what I was kind of worried they might do. Shut out by New Jersey at home, go on the road, and end up beating Minnesota, or at least giving them a game, and they sure did that. They did one better. They beat Minnesota 3-2 in a shootout. I didn't have the guts to take Buffalo in that game, but I did take the draw in that Buffalo-Minnesota game, and what a price that was, plus 360 in that game for it to go to overtime there. Winnipeg, we had a best bet winner with Winnipeg Saturday, that and the over against Nashville. We thought it was a prime spot for the Jets after facing Carolina twice, Minnesota, Washington, a very tough schedule, stepping down in class against Nashville to get off the schneid back in the win column. Winnipeg did that 5-2 in Nashville on Saturday night, and now it is another lesser team here that you're playing. And it's Eric Comrie against one of his old teams. So, Eric Comrie, not that we trust him fully. He's not, played great since Connor Hellebuck got injured, but, he'll be amped up to play a little bit better and step up here against Buffalo, one of his old teams. And I don't trust Pick-a-Back of Pickle Peppers on the other side. Looks like UPL, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, is going to get the start here for the Buffalo Sabres. He got beaten in the last start we saw from him against Pittsburgh last week. Sabres lost that game. And again, he's just way too up and down, way too inconsistent for my liking. So again, Buffalo is becoming one of these teams that's, you cannot trust them all the time off a big win. If you're going to back them, you want them off a pretty rotten loss. And we've seen that multiple times from this Sabres team. Rotten loss to New Jersey. They go on the road, beat Minnesota, watch them fall flat once again here against the Winnipeg Jets. So I like Winnipeg. I like this over. In fact, I'm going to go probably with a little over by Fekta here in this game. Winnipeg's been an over machine since the Hellebuck injury. You go back and look, and 8 of their last 9 games without Hellebuck being available have had at least 6 goals. So it's been pretty consistent. With this total being 6, if this lands right on 6, the worst you can do is push if you're going to be on that full game over. This is a bifecta, but I've got more on the full game over 6 here with the Jets and the Sabres. Alex, what do you think here? Winnipeg, Buffalo.
So yeah, this is, like I said, definitely a fade spot for Buffalo. It's a little tricky to back Comrie going up against his old team. You look at the numbers, the 2 appearances he's had against them, giving up 7 goals. So he has a 3.55 goals against an 857 save percentage. Not really the best of numbers in the world against them, but I still feel like Winnipeg's the better team, and this is a cheap price to get them. So I will play Jets money line small. I will play that over 6 small, and then I will also go once again with that combo Jets with over 4.5 here, plus 135. Because like I said, I definitely think we get goals, but smaller on the just straight side and straight total, and then going a little bit heavier on the parlay.
By the way, they've won 4 straight times here in Buffalo as Winnipeg. So they've definitely played well in this building in recent years. Perlo, what are you thinking here? Jets, Sabres?
Yeah, you know what? We say, well, you can't figure out the Buffalo Sabres. And I agree. You can't figure out at least I did agree. But what I started to realize is Buffalo Sabres, you bet them against teams in bad spots. Minnesota, bad spot when they won that game. Carolina, horrible spot coming off the road, going over.
That's a great point. That's actually
Chicago, bad spot. Point. They just came out that win. They're going for 1, and then they're coming back. Edmonton was a horrible spot too, just at the end of a road trip. You bet them in bad spots. Is this a bad spot for Winnipeg coming off that win? I say no. So I'm with you on that.
It's not Winnipeg. The best spot, but it's not a bad spot.
It's not bad. The only thing I don't like about it is they have Montreal next, but. This is the Jets are a team that really got to get some wins going here, man. Like this is the President's Trophy team here. They got to start feeling good about themselves. So I like the Jets, but where I like the Jets most is I'd have to look at it, but Buffalo coming off that Minnesota win, they're going to come in fat here. This is a team that has their character is very poor, and I like Winnipeg first period. I think I think Buffalo's going to come in thinking they're good, and Winnipeg wants to get this right away with Comrie in net. I mean, I'm sure they'll tell you they have confidence in it, but it's not the same confidence of Hellebuck. So Winnipeg's going to go try to get some goals early, so to help out their goaltender. So I like Winnipeg first period money line and puck line here. I got a little bit on the over first period. And I took a Jets plus 1.5 and over 5.5 just to cover my bases. I think both of those things are going to happen. So you can get that at like plus 100 or something like that. So that I like a lot. There's another and that's it there. But I think it's a jet spot. The other thing, people like Norris is coming back.
Oh yeah, of course. I should have mentioned that. Yes, John, that is big. But again, how many times have we seen this? We see Tkachuk come back for Ottawa. They go 0-2. You think, hey, it's going to be a big boost for the team, and they're going to rally around it. Big win, one of the best players back, and sometimes it screws up chemistry, and it takes a couple of games for the guy returning to the lineup to get up to game speed again.
Well, there's that, and a lot of times the team takes like this exhale. Oh, we're okay now because Josh Norris is back. That seems to happen a lot. Is all the guys that were fighting without Norris go, oh, okay, I don't have to work so hard today. And if anybody's going to do that, it's the characterless Sabres. So I don't really put too much stock in that. I will take Norris to score a goal though, because I don't know what it is about that guy. He comes back from injury, and it looks like he was never injured again. That doesn't mean the rest of the team plays that, but he has a tendency to be like that. Also, I love Perfetti's going up on that second line, and because they had him down in the fourth. He I guess maybe because of injuries and stuff like that, they wanted to work him in, but he's up now, so they must think he's good. I love him for a goal and over 1.5 shots at minus 135. I got a bunch of other props here. You guys can Perlo's NHL POW. I'm going to post all this after on my Twitter.
Yeah, I don't mind Perfetti going back up the lineup. I do like that. I like Velarde. Niederreiter's been actually starting to score a bit the last couple of games as well. Josh Doan for Buffalo. He just continues to chip in offense, because I do think Buffalo will score at least a couple tonight, even though I like Winnipeg in the game, because I do like this over. Like I said, Winnipeg is transitioned right now to an over team, and I think they kind of feel subconsciously like they have to score more goals now because they don't have Connor Hellebuck. They're awesome regular season goaltender. That's what I'm going to start referring to him as, great regular season goaltender, and he is. He's a phenomenal regular season goaltender. But it's the playoffs and especially in the road in the playoffs, that has been his stumbling block in recent years. All right,
Anna, you mentioned that, I have a little parlay here. Both teams to score 2 goals and Scheifele over 1.5 shots at plus 100. I like that one.
Very creative.
You don't have to rely on anybody winning or losing the game, and just get
2 goals from both teams, and then Scheifele hits his prop. You're good, no doubt. All right, Anaheim, St. Louis. You got St. Louis minus 150, home favorite, 6 the total. This is a really tough game to really break down, and because I went back and forth on it. St. Louis is starting to get a little momentum, a couple wins in a row, beating Utah and Ottawa on this homestand back-to-back. I don't think they're fully back yet, but there's no doubt they're building momentum. Jim Montgomery's happy with the progress they've made. This is a tough spot for Anaheim, back-to-back after a game in Chicago yesterday. Now on the road again tonight in St. Louis. You're down your top 2 goaltenders. Ville Husso out of rhythm now, because he had to go into the game from an injured Peter Mrazek yesterday when he wasn't expecting to play at all. How does that affect his scheduled start? Because I think he was scheduled all along by Joe Quenneville to start tonight against his former team, the St. Louis Blues. So I worry about that. Yet at the same time, how many times have we seen the guy step up and look like Marty Brodeur a game against his old team? And we've saw friggin' Anton Forsberg look like that earlier this year for the LA Kings when he went to Ottawa against his old team and he shut out the Senators 1-0. That game still stands out to me. So maybe Husso, has one of his best games, wants to beat his old team, looks great. The problem for Anaheim is just overall as a team, their defensive game is not at its absolute best right now, and that could be an issue here. Now, St. Louis hasn't been scoring, so it's kind of what's going to give here. Anaheim's been giving up goals. We don't know if Husso's going to be out of rhythm, and St. Louis hasn't been scoring. But if there's a night St. Louis might open things up offensively, it's here, especially if you look at series history. If you buy into series history at all, my goodness, the Blues have won 10 straight head-to-head over the Anaheim Ducks, and they've just obliterated this team on the scoreboard. Every recent game, the Blues have scored 6, 4, 6, 6, 4, 7. They've had no problem putting the puck in the net against Anaheim over the years. So that's a concern here with a fatigued team on a back-to-back, missing their top 2 goalies. But I think Anaheim's still very capable offensively themselves. We know that's not an issue for them. They're still able to score goals. Anaheim has scored 3 goals or more in 6 of their last 7 games entering tonight's action. So, and then the series history has been strong to the over. 4 straight overs in the series, 7-2-1 to the over in the last 10. So I'm on over 6 here in this game. Just full game. This is not a bifecta. This is just over 6 for me, Anaheim, St. Louis. And we'll see what happens as far as the side goes. If you ask me right now, I would lean taking the Anaheim at plus 130. I don't want to lay minus 150 with St. Louis, but it is a better spot for them. I like the price with Anaheim, and there's always that potential. Husso stands on his head facing his old team. We've seen goalies do that before, but like I said, I am concerned about the state of this Anaheim team defensively the last few games. The LA game, the Chicago games weren't Rembrandts defensively from this Anaheim team. And if you're going to expose Husso to that kind of high danger, could be trouble. Alex, what do you think here? Anaheim, St. Louis.
Yeah, this is going to be a pass for me. There's a lot of just moving parts and variables. You've got the Ducks with Husso in net, and it's going against his old team. The Ducks have a hot streak in this, Blues rather than a hot streak against this team. You've got the Blues with the injury issues. Like I said, offense has been kind of dry. This is one I can, either wait live and grab something or just completely pass it. But right now, I got nothing.
Well, they already had Suter out. Yes, Toropchenko depth, a pretty solid depth forward. Bottom 6 role for the St. Louis is out. And, of course, Jimmy Snuggerud, the big one on IR for the St. Louis Blues. Even though he hasn't had the monster offensive season to this point that we thought he might, 5 goals, 6 assists, hasn't been firing on all cylinders, but he's still going to be missed. There's no question about that. Yeah, Holloway, as Jonathan Davis is talking about in the chat, yeah, no argument. Dylan Holloway is heating up. It's been one of their best, most consistent scoring forwards in the last few games. So, yeah, any Dylan Holloway props, I sign up for those as well here in this game tonight. Perlo, what do you think here, Anaheim, St. Louis?
It's a pretty emotional game against Chicago for Anaheim, win or lose. Really
an intense game, yeah, it was.
Yeah, intense, emotional game. And the big thing about that game that I mentioned in that game was they kind of blew their wad in the first period. I could see the exact opposite here. I could see them come out a little more leveled, which might not be a good thing. I like St. Louis to score the first goal in the first period here. And I like St. Louis overall or in the first period. I don't know if I trust them overall. I was kind of actually falling on Alex here. Husso's really, really not very good. And I didn't know exactly. I was kind of falling on what Alex would say. If Alex said, I don't care if it's back to his old team again or not, he's not good, I'm going on St. Louis, and I would have did that, but he's not really leaning that way. He's thinking that Husso might have a good game here. So I like again on the Perlo special here. I like St. Louis to score a goal, and I like Anaheim to come back and have a strong second and score a goal in the second period. I got this at a 5.5. I do like the over 5.5. Just maybe not as much as I originally thought, because if Husso is going to have a good game, I'm going to lower my units on it. But it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't. And St. Louis has been scoring more, and we all know Anaheim can score for sure, no doubt about that. So, and I don't see Anaheim. I mean, Anaheim may try to play like a good, solid defensive game after that Chicago game. I don't think they have them in them right now. And I don't think Quenneville's really spent a lot of time practicing trying to build up a defensive system with Anaheim. He knows what their strength is. They got to make the playoffs this year. Let's just freaking score goals, and we'll worry about it a little bit at a time as we go.
When you're struggling in one area to that point, and Jimmy Murphy, we've talked about this, him and I, and he's alluded to this. I know I've heard it from a lot of people that know the game well. When you are struggling in one area, let's say it's the power play, let's say it's the penalty kill, let's say it's just your overall team defense, and you don't have the requisite practice time to work on those issues and fix those problems, you're going to struggle. And it could take until you get some extended practice sessions in to really correct those issues. And right now, Anaheim does not have that afforded to them because they played yesterday and they're playing again tonight. You can't work on your team defense when you're playing on a back-to-back. You just don't have the time to really look into it and fix it and practice and use practice to really work on those bad habits.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a trigger word for them too, because the last coach that was there. They played a very slow defensive, make sure in your own zone type game, and it really drove him nuts. So I think he's just avoiding all that right now. I think he's just go out and then, make sure you come back hard. We'll work on defensive systems as we go or when we get time. So that's why I do like the over here. Hard because St. Louis isn't really scoring a lot, but I'll bank that Husso lets a couple in. I don't care. I think he will. So I like the over. I'm not taking anything on the full game for the same, Anaheim's a hardworking team.
I will sprinkle on the Blues' first goal of first period, too, noting that the Blues have scored the first goal 11 of the last 12 games. They've been a sprinkle on that. Just because
I like everything for the Blues first period. I'm going to take a money line, puck line, and first goal, first period. Yeah. And
I got to interject with one thing though. You said in reference to Anaheim working on defense. Sure, they may not have enough time to get everything done they'd like, especially in back-to-backs and a condensed schedule. But if you think Joel Quenneville ain't working on fucking defense in practice, you got to be crazy because he's definitely going to make that an emphasis for the majority of the practice. Yeah. Not just I'm saying, but once they do, it's going to be mostly defensive drills that they run and work on.
Absolutely. When they have the real time to do it. It takes time to learn systems like Quenneville's too. It's not easy. He plays.
But it won't be that much of a. But like you said, with Cronin being a defensive guy, it won't be that much of a transition for guys who were still around. Like that, the transition from Cronin's defense to Q's is not that much as far as the demands physically. They both were hard, physically demanding defensive coaches. Cronin just didn't have as great of an offensive scheme and a transitional scheme, and that's why the players, like I said, are doing well playing, at the full end of the ice. Quenneville's
we'll get into this on a Beckcast because I could go on and on.
Well, here's the thing. This is a very young team still. We like Anaheim a lot. We all do. We've made no secret of that on this show. But there's a very young team still, and there's going to be moments and spans and just swatches of the season where the details defensively start to get away from them a little bit. And that's what's happened these last 3 games, giving up 14 goals. In these last 3 games, but they can get it back. It's just, I think for me, they're going to need some time to practice and have a dead zone in their schedule, where there's no games to really, like I say, work on things because you don't fix what's wrong until you really get a chance to look at video intensely and practice on it. And right now the schedule is just not allowing Anaheim to be able to do that. I was wondering this too, and now everyone's answered it. This Nikita Nesterenko scoring 3 goals in 3 games against St. Louis, 4 goals in 4 games apparently against them, according to Jonathan Davis, and he's on the 3rd line tonight for Anaheim. I was wondering, now it makes sense because in my prop, screen that I use for NHL, I'm seeing Nikita Nesterenko head-to-head goals versus St. Louis 100%, and that means he has scored in every game against the St. Louis Blues that he has played. Nikita Nesterenko for Anaheim against St. Louis. So he has scored in every game in the past that he has played against the St. Louis Blues. So I guess you do have to take a shot with it, right? Plus 850, plus 800, plus 850 for Nikita Nesterenko for Anaheim to find the back of the net tonight when a track record like that. And a lot of these goals have been against the guy he'll face tonight, Jordan Binnington, in net for St. Louis. So, yeah. It's hard not to bet it. Hard to turn that down. No question about it. All right. Last game for this Monday slate, Utah and San Jose. Utah minus 170. Road favorites here, 5.5 the total in this game. Utah obviously has had, they're struggling on the ice, obviously 3 straight losses for the Mammoth against Montreal, Dallas, and St. Louis. Heartbreakers, though. They were 1-goal losses. They've been right there. They're kind of like Columbus, where the losing streak is not as bad as it would seem because they've been right there, but they're just not finding ways to win games right now. They're not getting that extra save. They're not scoring that extra goal to make matters worse. Their captain, of course, Clayton Keller's gone through the tragedy of his dad passing away. They've had to deal with that off the ice as well. And now a major injury for Utah with Logan Cooley going down with the knee contusion, the knee injury on Saturday in the loss to the St. Louis Blues. It didn't look good coming off the ice. I don't expect him to play tonight. They're not sure the severity. We really haven't heard from Andre Tourigny yet if how much time he is going to miss. Apparently, it's a game time decision is the latest I've heard. So maybe it's not as bad as they initially thought. So still a chance he could play tonight for the Utah Mammoth. Game time decision is the last update I saw on it, but boy, oh boy, that is a relief that Utah has avoided maybe the worst case scenario with his injury, because initially that looked like he could miss days, if not weeks, and it's seeming like he might be back as early as tonight, although it's not for sure that he's in tonight yet. But that's a relief, because you're talking about by far the leading scorer on the team, leads them in goals, leads them in points. So that's a big sigh of relief that Logan Cooley may not, his injury is not as bad, as it initially looked. That being said, I mean, Utah is having a tough time winning games, and you got San Jose coming back home after losing to Vegas 4-3. They're 8-2 in their last 10 home games. Think about that. To 8-2, the San Jose Sharks in their last 10 home games, and they're getting a price like this at home. San Jose plus 150, win or lose. I have to take San Jose when they're getting these kind of prices. They already beat Utah at home 3-2 just recently. Like I said, this is a team that's won 8 of their last 10 games at home. They're getting this kind of a price. They're the team that's in better form right now. Team that's been able to beat, some pretty good teams of late, especially on home ice. Yeah, San Jose plus 150. Pretty straightforward that I would not be turning down the chance to take San Jose at this price. Alex, what do you think here in this one? Utah, San Jose.
It's a dog and draw split for me. I like to draw a little bit more. I got plus 333 over at MGM. 330 is available at FanDuel, but I definitely like in the, like I said, Sharks. This is a good price to back them at home. We've been betting them dog and draw. It seems like almost every other game at home at these prices. So that's what I'm rolling with.
And Askarov in net, that's the guy we want. Obviously it was a loss with Nedeljkovic. There's been separation lately with the two San Jose netminders. Askarov's clearly been the goalie in better form of late. The run for Askarov is pretty impressive right now. He is at 6-2 in his last 8 starts, and he's given up 2 goals or less in 4, 5, 6 of those 8 games as well. So, like I said, he's been in a good run here lately for the San Jose Sharks. I don't know if we get goals galore tonight in this game, but with Utah off a shutout loss and San Jose off a 4-3 loss to Vegas, I expect some pretty good aggressiveness from both teams early. So I will dabble in the first period over, but only the first period over here in this Utah-San Jose game. Perlo, what do you think here? Mammoth Sharks.
Yeah, I think Utah is going to be playing really hard in this game. I mean, you can only take San Jose at this price. I'm not going to take Utah at any price here, but I don't think this is going to be an easy game for San Jose. That's for sure.
It wasn't the last time they played Utah.
This is going to be Utah's going to be thirsty here. They got to get some wins right now. And I think they're going to be playing really hard, which means I think they're going to get a lot of shots. And my favorite play in this is for sure Askarov over 25.5 saves. I can't see how they don't get 30, 35 shots here, unless Askarov has a bad game. He's got to have
bad shots at home San Jose lately. I think, that
so yeah. I do have the over 1.5 first period, and I have the over here. But if with the over, I'm thinking more likely the Sharks than the Mammoths, just because Askarov is so good. It's going to be tough to score 3 goals on him. It just is. Especially the one thing about this Utah team, though, is they pass the puck a lot inside. Like they don't just shoot right at you. They pass the puck a lot. Last time they played, though, San Jose really picked up on that drop back play that they kept on trying to use all the time. So they're going to have to change things around a little bit here. And if they do that, I could see them shooting a little more and not passing it around so much, because San Jose picked it off pretty good the last time they played. So I'm going to take the over 1.5. I got over 1.5 first period. And I have a little bit on Sharks money line as well. But just a little tiny bit because the price is too good. But I really like the Sharks second period at plus 118. I think Utah is going to come out, much like I've said about other ones, they're going to come out really hard. And the Sharks are a good second period team. They're going to hold it off. Maybe even Utah's up, and they'll come back in the second at plus 118. So that's my favorite play of that. There's a couple props I have here that I really like that I've been making money at quite a bit. Sergachev under 1.5 block shots, minus 135, 7 straight. He doesn't block shots hardly at all. And Hayton, who's going down to the fourth line now, he wasn't getting any points on the top line. I don't think he's going to get any points on the bottom line. And you can get that at minus 135 for under a point for Barrett Hayton. So that and Smith anytime goal and over 2.5 shots. So you just bet that every time. The guy's freaking awesome. So
there we go. Good stuff. Though a few good problems made sense when you explained the reasoning behind them. That yeah, exactly. And sometimes taking advantage of unders where this guy's not blocking many shots. You can bet an under block shots. He's not getting as much ice time. He's down the lineup to get under points, whatever the case may be. Yeah, there's no doubt.
I
there's
didn't mention it, but
there
the prop at the Anaheim game was Trouba under 1.5 plus 150. 8 straight hasn't blocked over 1.5 shots. That's the other one.
Yeah, no doubt. So again, keep an eye on Cooley's status. Cooley is a game time decision, and again, we'll see if he plays. And they need him.
Then Hayton would go up to the second line, so don't bet that Hayton one until then.
Yeah, I'm seeing second line at the moment, so it might not be. Again, this is one you want to, or at least if you're going to bet Hayton under, wait to see if where he is, in the lineup just before puck drop. That might be the best thing to do here, prior to betting that. And yeah, as far as props for me, that's not too many here in this game, but I do like William Eklund a little bit just because he's now on that second line, and like I said, I think he's starting to show getting a little bit more comfortable back there. And yes, to Jonathan's point about how good San Jose's been off a loss, only lost back-to-back once since the 6 straight losses to begin the year. Yeah, they're 7-1. San Jose, their last 8 tries off a loss. Off a loss, they're 7-1. Their last 8 games.
Okay, maybe I'll put more on San Jose.
Yeah. And obviously they're off the Vegas loss 4-3 on Saturday. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat at the like button. We appreciate it very much. And make sure you check out, of course, wizardsportspicks.com. Me, Alex, Matt Robinson, and a ton of great handicappers, a great roster on the website. Solid, profitable weekend for me. We'll see if we can build on that for Monday. Wizardsportspicks.com. Check it out. And, of course, check out the Beyond the Lines videos daily on the Wizard Sports Picks YouTube channel. I host them Thursdays and Sundays, so make sure you check that out. And the YouTube channel, wizardsportspicks.com. And check out patreon.com/iceguys, $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, bonus content, Patreon exclusive live betcast. I'm not going to give away the date, but it's going to be sooner rather than later in the month of December. So make sure you get on board if you want to be part of our Patreon exclusive live betcast here in the month of December, which we're very much looking forward to. And, of course, every single day, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. So get on board. Again, your subscription and membership on the Patreon page goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. So check it out. $10 per month. Patreon.com/iceguys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. If you missed the Black Friday sale this weekend, do not worry. For Cyber Monday, you can still get 30% off orders, $70 or more. And that will expire at midnight tonight. So don't miss out. This is your last chance. And if you order things standard shipping, they will arrive between December 6th and December 9th. So you definitely want to make note of that. You're getting stuff in time to get it under the Christmas tree. You're going to be running out of time. It's going to take a while for things to get there. So don't want to delay on that. Jump on board now. Cyber Monday, 30% off all orders, $70 or more until midnight tonight. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
There you go. Check it out.
I actually end up having to go. Can I do my best bets and everything all at one time here, and then I'll head out?
Yeah, right now. Shoot.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay.
Let me hear. Yep.
Okay. For my best bet, I'm going to go.
Bargain bin first.
I'm going to do 2 props. I'm going to take that.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Bargain
bin first.
For bargain bin, I'm going to go in the same game. I'm going to take Norris for a goal at +310, and I'm going to take Perfetti for a goal. So the same game, the 2 there. And for my bargain bin, I'm going to go with 2 props. I'm going to take that Askarov over saves, and I'm going to take that's at -130 at 25.5. And I'll take Perfetti over 1.5 shots at -135.
There we go. All right, there you go. Those were his best bets. See, my camera froze there for right.
Did my camera freeze? Did you get it?
We got it on. It's on tape, so we know it. We know what the best bet.
Okay, it's Askarov over 25.5, Perfetti over 1.5 shots, And you can catch all my bets at Perlo's NHL POW. Also, check out my show tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, or watch it in, it's called Rico and Perlo's House of Exotic Picks Frolic. And we have a lot of fun on there. So you can, or catch it recorded or have you. And catch you again on the ice, guys. Thanks for having me, guys. Got to head out.
All right, Perlo, we'll catch you. Y'all good, Ian?
There we go. All right, we're back. Up. That's StreamYard slowdowns going on here. You know what?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I don't know what's going on.
There's an update. Yeah, there's an update running in the background here. That's what slowed me down here. Okay, there we go. I think we're back now. All right, good stuff. All right, so Perlo gave you bargain bin special and best bets just a moment ago. So that's done.
I'm gonna have a lot of fun editing that if he hits one of those.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. No doubt. All right, I think we're back. Okay, good stuff.
Right.
We got bargain bin special tonight from me and from Alex, along with best bets, coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Kings and Queens shop.
All right. Thanks to all our sponsors, including, of course, Royal Cannabis. Check it out, royalcannabisshop.com, 20% off with promo code IceGuys. All right. Bargain bin special of the night. You heard Perlo's earlier. Alex, your bargain bin special for Monday.
Yeah, let's go with that Timo Meier first goal look. And, of course, we're also going to tag on and add Timo Meier to get the first home team goal. That's plus 550, but first goal overall of the game is at 10-1. He's hit 6 of the last 9 games where he's had the first goal for the Devils or the first goal of the game overall, and he's done it twice in back-to-back meetings against the Blue Jackets. So Timo Meier to get things rocking and rolling early with the first goal of the game for the Devils at 10-1 and 550 for the home team. About 2 bargain bin specials tonight.
All right. My bargain bin special of the night, I'm not going to resist it. Plus 850 with Nikita, we need you so. We need you to score a goal tonight. Nikita Nesterenko, you've owned St. Louis. You've done significant damage against Jordan Binnington. We will take a shot here. Nikita Nesterenko for the Anaheim Ducks, plus 850 for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Let's go to that Keystone State battle. We got the Penguins taking on the Flyers, and I like goals early in that contest. Give me that first period over 1.5. You can get a minus 120 at Caesars there. So over 1.5 with Penguins Flyers in the first period. That is my best bet.
Best bet for me, plus 150 San Jose. What a great price. 7-1 their last 8 off a loss. They're obviously 8-2 in their last 10 at home. Utah scuffling. Utah still maybe without their leading scorer, Logan Cooley. If he doesn't play, that is still up in the air. But regardless, too good of a price for the San Jose Sharks. Plus 150 against Utah for my best bet here for this Monday NHL slate. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. Great show as usual. Reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith and Perlo, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we are back Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.